Well, good morning and welcome to today's Daily Video Devo. I got a question for you. Have you ever known somebody who liked to say the Christian cliche, "Oh, I love you in the Lord," but really was kind of a jerk? I have a friend who was a pastor for years who writes this. Years ago, I served in a church where I learned a lasting lesson about love. There was a couple who'd been in the church their whole lives, but there wasn't much love in them that I could see anyway. They complained about young people who were not as devout as people used to be. They were upset about ministries we'd failed at and others did very successfully. They were very vocal about their displeasure over the music in the church because we used drums and they were certain there were no drums in the Bible. They complained that my kids ran in the sanctuary and they felt this was neither appropriate nor reverent. Then they pointed out that I did not do nearly enough visitation and on and on. It went, meetings with them were always very hurtful, but after all of their very critical words, they would always say, "But Pastor, we love you in the Lord." He goes on to write, I think that phrase gets misused in the church sometimes. If you don't like someone, think good thoughts about them, don't want what is best for them, don't believe the best about them, and don't act in a loving way toward them, then is it right to say you are loving them in the Lord? Loving them in the Lord is not a lower kind of love. It's not a spiritual, merely tolerating someone that you really can't stand. Loving someone in the Lord is the highest form of love. You know, I love that because it reminds me of the passage that we've been in all week long, Romans chapter 12. There's a great verse 9 of Romans 12 says, "Don't just pretend to love others, really love them." So that tells me that this was an issue in Bible times as well. So does this verse from 1 John. We've been studying 1 John in our weekend series. And 1 John chapter 3, verse 18 says, "Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Let's show the truth by our actions." So how do you actually love someone? Well, I want to challenge you. How about really loving someone who is one of those people who tends to say, "I love them in the Lord," but actually is, well, kind of a jerk? My friend Kevin Harney, who's a pastor down in Monterey at Shoreline Church, what a great church down there. He says, it is easy to be loving toward those who love us. It's hard to show extravagant love toward those who tend to be negative and complainers. Now, do this very carefully and tenderly, but think of one person you know who tends to think he or she loves people in the Lord, but is actually very negative. Seek to do two things over the coming week. Number one, pray for this person's heart to grow tender through the work of the Holy Spirit. Number two, look for opportunities to give verbal affirmation to this person. Look for whatever good you see and speak words of blessing. Now listen to this. Allow God to touch this person and make them tender through the love of God being extended through you. That's a great challenge. Let's practice loving one another. Hey, listen, I hope you can join us for our weekend services. We got all kinds of options for you, indoors, outdoors, live stream, video on demand. You can check them all out at tlc.org/live. Hope you join us. God bless you. Have a great weekend.